Welcome to the Picnic Bench. We're Roger and Monica from Life Resources.
Good morning.
If any of you want to get in contact with us, at the beginning of this video you'll find all our social media and below in the description. So today I'm going to be talking to Monica about our book, What Are You Missing? So, Monica, why did you illustrate and write this book?
Well, that is a good question. The idea started to come together when I was doing a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner course. We were covering metaphors and stories and their impact on people's lives. And something clicked, and I remember that when I was a child, I read a lot of books, fairy tales, Grimm fairy tales and that kind of things. And obviously it wasn't then I could actually explain why I was reading them and why it was so good. But when you're getting older and you begin to learn more about yourself, you realize that they were really important in my life. That a lot of these stories helped me make a sense of the life and how certain things might work and what skills are good skills to get you through any troubles. So I think somewhere along the line I thought, well, if that had an impact on me, how I could blend something together and use a bit of the goodness of neuro-linguistic programming approach and blend it into a story to help the little ones and their parents or guardians or teachers to make sense of a life, as it's not really that simple, and I don't think there is a manual for it. You study a lot of subjects at school, but there is no subject covering how do you know yourself, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and so that's basically how the idea came together, and then I just created.
So it's come basically from Grimm fairy tale type thing idea, and you've put in this little twist of NLP to make it more of a practical book.
Yes, yeah, basically I didn't want it to be just a children book category and that's the end of it. I wanted to give it a bit of a taste that there is something to learn from the book, but obviously a little children, they will not know that part. They will just read a story and take from it what they need, as I did when I was a child. But later on, hopefully, they will develop some skills to get back and help them realize that there is more to it.
So with that in mind, who would you say the book's actually aimed at? Is it aimed at the little children that you've just been talking about?
Yeah, that is the thing, is we tend to these days put the books into categories, age children, and I think it's a bit of assuming type of, the books, how we put them in categories, because the book is literally for everyone. There are parts which wouldn't be great for a little children, but inside that there is a little story which can be read to them, or when they are a bit older they can read themselves and take that story, and that's the end of it. The slightly older children or children who like to explore more, there is a bit of an introduction in a simple language to a neuro-linguistic programming and how they can use the book. And at the same time there are obviously adults, parents, teachers, anyone who works with children, or even actually for themselves, because they will be then in a position of observing and maybe understanding the children they work with and know what to look for, and maybe slightly guide the children that way and making it more acceptable and easier that we are all different. But don't need to be put into a certain category. So yeah, it's basically really for everyone.
So now I've got a bit of a question for you about the characters. You've picked a mushroom and fox.
Yes.
What's the reason behind the mushroom and fox?
Well, that's the thing, is when you're doing your more artistic approach, you don't think that much about it. For some reason, I just love those two characters. Looking back at it, there was possibly quite a really good reason. I love the mushrooms a lot of time, and I never really knew why until, again, talking about metaphors and everything, I realized mushrooms are generally really great. We don't really know that much about mushrooms, yet there is a lot of goodness. It's coming up slowly, for the medical purposes and that kind of things. They're just great, but what's amazing about them is they seem to grow in places where there is no light, it's a really extreme sometimes conditions, and they just thrive. And I think I like that part of it. We don't know where life takes us, but no matter where it takes us, we can make ourselves to thrive somewhere. So I think symbolically I like a mushroom. Fox is here a bit of like the wise teacher or a guardian or that kind of things. And again, I think for me that's what foxes remind me of. They are again, they live in a variety of places, in extreme coldness and in different areas. And I like about them that they just not afraid to be flexible. So when there is no food available in a certain areas, they're not afraid to come closer to humans and get what they need. And I think sometimes they are a bit of a tricksters as well. And with this, I like the lightening of the subject of teaching. I didn't want to be a strict teacher. I just liked also the idea of, but I can be a bit of a fun and I can trick you into a bit of a something that at the end will be very beneficial to you. So that's why I think a fox and a mushroom.
Some good symbolism there.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
So, if I was to take this book home and give it as to a present, what could I say are the benefits of using this book, of reading it, of me giving it to somebody? How would that help people I'm handing it to?
So this first book, which I'm planning to do a series of different books, this one is mainly about the senses, and I think that is a starting point. All I want from this book is that people to maybe get a bit of a understanding of themselves. I think we've somewhere along the line lost it. I think children have it naturally, they being themselves when they're very little, before they go to schools or organizations where there is a certain structure. And I'm not saying there is something wrong about the structure, but we can lose that touch. Only difference is that when children are very little, they do the things spontaneously, they like certain activities, but then they can't really understand or explain why they're liking it. So at some point they might just lose it. Bringing that into the structure, if you as a parent, you can observe your children and pinpoint what they naturally do easily, and then they move into that structured environment, you can guide them how they can maybe nudge a subject or the learning in a different way. So for example, senses, a lot of it is learning style. If your child is a kinesthetic, and I'm not saying it's strictly going to be just that category, but let's keep it simple, kinesthetic, he's going to be a bit of an active and a fidgety doing things. Like he just loves doing it, then you bring them into school, into a structure, and then they like sit there, and then expect it to be quiet and look, and it's not their natural environment. When they know that, they can adapt in a different ways. And not seeing the school as a problem, and teachers and the parents not seeing them as being a problem. Because yeah, there will be other children who are visual, and they quite happily will be sitting there and just watch.
So it'd also be great for the teachers just to read, wouldn't it? Just for that side of it.
Yes, it's a lot of it self-exploring. It's a journey of self-exploring yourself and also people around you, and noticing the differences and the goodness of being different, and how you can embrace that.
Okay, sounds good.
I hope so.
I've noticed you've got two different formats. You've got this longer landscape version,
landscape, and then is a small one. So this first one is the very first edition, which I've done basically completely myself with the meddling of my husband here. So that is completely self-published, and there was a general idea making it that format as I envision a landscape and getting into it. The second one has been published by Purple Parrot Publishing, and the format is slightly smaller, but it's got a lot of more extra as well regarding the exercises. Because when you do the first book, you also look at the feedback, and it's always looking in the ways how you can improve it, make it a bit different. So the published book now is obviously input of the publisher as well, which was great. changing a bit of the maybe coloring, making it more appealing to people, so it's easier to learn and read it. And it's a smaller, so it fits into easy into bags and things like that. And it's got extra exercises and more of the tasks children can actually fill in the book. Surprise, you can actually draw in the book if you want. So it's a kind of a book and workbook in one.
Cool. So now let's say I want to get one of these books. Where can I get them from?
So obviously on the live resources there is a contact which you will see underneath this video, where is our website as well. And obviously this one, because it's been published, so you can now get it on Amazon and Waterstones online. So just find What Are You Missing, my name, Monika Calder, and it will come up and you're free to get them.
Fantastic. Is there anything else you'd like to add about your books so that people have got a little bit more knowledge? I know I've asked you a few questions, but sometimes as an author and illustrator, you've sort of got a message you want to get across.
Well, I think the message is I would say, it's go on the journey to explore. We not all maybe want to explore ourselves. I find it that these days it's one thing in my life that is very important, especially when in the social media and the places like that. It's they tell you how you should do the things, forgetting the part that we are all different. And if you don't know yourself, how else anyone else can really help you, because they will not know you if you don't know yourself. And obviously the book, I just like to do this part, is I've done it as much to cover visual, auditory and kinesthetic, so it was a careful choosing of the paper, so it felt good, right? So it's for the kinesthetic. This is something you can't get when you read books online or on on your computer. Is that touch that is missing? So you've got that. Then obviously visual, you've got the pictures. That's why it's been illustrated, because the pictures are great, especially with the colors for a visual, like I am quite a lot. And the auditory, they are inside a bit of like a speech bubbles, as you know from the comics. So yeah, he have the exercise pages and a bit of like a speech bubbles there. So it gives you, speech bubbles are, although they're written from the comics books and the things, we know that we act to them more like the sound, because it's the bang and singing and that kind of a thing. So the speech bubbles to appeal more of the auditory. All I would say is basically go for exploring yourself, whichever way you really do it. If this book is a starting point, yay, it's brilliant. I love that. One thing regarding this book, I would say it's also another part to it is that if you put your mind to it, you find the way how you can achieve your goals you want to achieve. And this book for me it was as well, because I am not a professional writer and I am not a professional illustrator, and I've never done anything self-published before, so I've learned a lot myself just doing this. And it's like that little achievement things you've done for yourself. So it's also encouraging on the many level. If you want something, it might take you step by step. It takes you maybe longer to get resources, get the things, but you can get that done. So it's like a double message with this book as well. With this, so yeah, I think it's pretty much sums up really what I can say.
Well guys, thanks for being here with us today. So this book you can get online at places like Amazon, Waterstones, any great online book retailer. And the longer version, the landscape version, you can contact us on our website and we can get it sent out to you.
Yeah, these are very limited, so I only have a few left. So they are the first edition, so they will be only through personally contacting live resources or myself via Facebook and email and that things. Yeah, well, thank you guys.
Thank you very much. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.